Top 10 Weirdest Action Figures. This is a list of the 10 strangest and funniest toys we found over here at ActionFigureResource. Some of them are toy companies taking a risk, some are design flubs, some would make you question who they thought would actually buy them, or indeed the sanity of their creators. All will be good for your shelf, simply so that when people are around your house, they can say, "What the flipping heck is that right there?" and you can tell them. At number 10, we'll start nice and safe with a classic figure with a facepalm-inducing action feature. Literally. This Lex Luthor from Toy Biz DC Comics Superheroes circa 1990 has a spring-loaded arm that he uses to punch himself in the head. It honestly seems like this was play-tested for all of 12 seconds in the prototype phase, because either nobody noticed this comedy scenario, or they did notice and pushed it through anyway. This line also included a Two-Face holding a coin the size of a personal pizza. At 9, it's this charming Playmobil tramp being harassed off a park bench by a police officer in a Prussian helmet. This is actually pretty good for teaching young children about compassion for the homeless and the consequences of it being fostered or rejected by authority figures. The poor fellow has to go somewhere. Maybe the policeman finds him a more comfortable and safe place to sleep for the night. At 8, speaking of mercy, it's God Almighty. Only this one, conversely, packs a Kalashnikov automatic rifle to smite his enemies. Again, as with many other weird figures, the potential play possibilities of introducing him to the rest of your toys is vast. There are actually a ton of biblical action figures out there if you look hard enough, so you can get yourself a whole shelf full of Abrahamic warriors. Jesus Christ Superstore, it's a real name, have managed to create one of the most offensive action figures of all time with this Old Testament badass, who also comes with a hallowed cloak of invulnerability. At 7, from Marvel's famous covers line, designed to evoke the Mego favourites of old, comes the action figure nobody wanted, even your own aging aunt. It's May from Spider-Man. Now, if she looked like a sweet, kindly old crone just about to cook you 10 wheat cakes for breakfast while you do some heavy lifting for her, that would be one thing. But instead she looks like a haunted tree in a pink smock. Seriously, her enormous hands can only be for snatching away unwary children to guzzle down back at her aunt Leia. At 6, back in the 90s there was something of a troll revival. The Stone Protectors were an attempt to fuse the tufty-haired Danish creatures with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and everything else that was being poochified by toy companies looking to cash in on that radical style. Angus, the Scottish troll, modelled on Guile from Street Fighter II here, has an anti-aircraft barbecue, a collection of words that have never met before, hence cementing its position on this list. At 5, it's Top Gun from Todd McFarlane's Spawn Series 12. There were many from the mind and company of this man that were worthy of mention, famed as he is for combining demons, robots, superheroes and circus folk into grotesque avatars of baditude. But this one gets extra points for looking like the offspring of a cockatrice and a confused Terminator. It's so unutterably malformed that if you turned it upside down, it would make the same amount of sense. At 4, one of the most vivid, troubled and famous artists of all time. It's Vincent van Gogh. This on its own would be a notable historical figure to collect in plastic sculpture form, but the fact that he comes with an interchangeable head to replicate his self-inflicted ear loss is a little extra bit of gruesome detail that puts this firmly in the weird category. Had he known how treasured and celebrated his art would be following his death, this figure might only have had one head. At number 3, under the heading, I can see why someone would want to own this, but still, comes the Meat from Rocky. The short of it is that this is an accessory pack, marketed alongside the rest of the action figures in the Rocky line, many of which are pretty weird in their own right. The play potential beyond turning this into a diorama for Rocky to train with is frankly disturbing. At number 2, it's Shapeshifter Punisher, an absolutely average-looking figure of Marvel's Frank Castle, the man who brings bullet-based justice to the mob. Average, that is, until you activate his transformation, whereupon he turns into the living embodiment of why mothers send angry letters. You need to study this figure, stare long and hard at it, and ask yourself what some of the people at Toy Biz were thinking when they drew this one up in blueprint form, made prototypes in both conceptual and working form, before finally greenlighting its mass construction in factories to be shipped out all over the world to sit on shelves beside Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk. Unbelievable. And at number 1, kind of along the same lines of what were they thinking, it's the infamous cymbal-banging monkey. This is nightmare fuel in simian form. While this particular one was marketed by Japanese company Daishin CK from the 1950s to the 70s under the name Musical Jolly Chimp, this is, in effect, everything that makes Victorian toys so unutterably creepy by today's standards. Toys like this were so ingrained into popular culture during the middle decades of the 20th century that his bloodshot death gaze got him a place in Toy Story 3. As an ever-watchful CCTV guard of horrifying intensity. The only person who willingly puts this in their child's bedroom actively wants them to lie awake at night, engaged in an endless, unwinnable, nocturnal staring contest with this monkey-themed atrocity. Now obviously this may be hard to believe in the face of this 10, but there's weirder ones out there. So let us know your notable weird action figure picks in the comments section below. Be sure to rate and subscribe. I've been Alex Shaw for ActionFigureResource, and I'll be back soon with something that hopefully gives me good dreams.